Yo, 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 yo. Welcome back to another
What up?
episode of Unapologetically Black, Never Broken, Always Empowered. I am Brittany, joined by my co-host Rich. What's good?
Gang.
And we are being joined by our guests this evening, Infinity and Dr. Justin Green. How are you guys?
Cool. How are you?
Good. So we always start out with a mental health check-in. So if our guests want to kick it off, Infinity, if you want to start off, how's your week been? How are you feeling?
I told them to stay over there, and you see them, the little heads. That's how my week is going. But no, it's honestly really great. Today is one of my daughter's 5th birthday, so we're like all in celebration mode. And for me, it's the end of birthday season, so it's a relief off of me. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great.
That's what's
Good.
up.
That's good.
Justin, how you feeling?
I'm tired. I'm always tired. I got a wife, a girlfriend, 6 kids. Actually 7 kids and 40, 50 clients a week. So yeah.
Woo!
You got a plate full, I see.
Yeah.
And Rich, how you been? We didn't have a shit talk Saturday, so it's been a whole week.
We did not have a shit talk Saturday.
Or an episode last Tuesday.
This week has been fucking hectic, and it's only Tuesday. This week has been exact. It feels like a Thursday.
Absolutely.
Sorry?
I didn't know you said.
We're unapologetically here.
Do we not curse? If my guest asks me not to, I'll try my best not to.
Oh no, I'm down for it because I have a potty.
No,
so
we definitely curse.
Oh,
okay. I want to say, let me.
I say I can't make any guarantees that I won't curse, but I will absolutely try my best
to respect it.
Side note: we had a Christian episode, and they didn't even tell me. I'm cursing everywhere.
I didn't know either. That was Brad's guest.
I was like, wow, I didn't know this. But no. It's been a very hectic week. Cramming, procrastinating as usual, trying to get 2 papers turned in. And it just so happens that business law is very, very painful. So, there's that.
I feel that.
Other than that, I'm chilling. How are you bees?
It's been a very hectic weekend parenting wise in our home. Julian was throwing up all Saturday, Sunday. Snuggles shitting on himself in the midst of Julian throwing up. Separate things though. One was actually a bug, and the other is Snuggles is very hell bent on not pooping. So it was his attempts to hold
to not poop. And then
it failed. It failed. And then Izzy severed her finger a month and a half ago, and so now the top of her finger,
Oh my god!
In a door at school, they had to retrieve the finger.
What kind of door was this?
A big metal door she was holding for her teacher. Anyways, now we're at the stage where I have to change the bandages every day, so it's been a lot, and she's on break. Yeah,
she's got straight A's. She better be on honor roll. She better get candy every Friday.
I feel like I have seen every bodily fluid this weekend, and I'm good. I don't know what the return policy is on children, but I'm gonna look it up.
Mine wasn't children. Mine was my wife, Brittany, and then Izzy decided to puke at 2 a.m.
Oh no!
And then it doesn't make it better because Brittany doesn't like to see puke. So then of course,
and then that's worse.
It causes a chain reaction, I guess.
Yeah.
But other than that, let's get it, man.
Yeah. So today's episode is about polygamy and polyamory. So,
spicy.
Yeah, we talked about monogamy and marriage a couple weeks ago. So this episode is, the antithesis, essentially, of that. So just a different perspective on relationships in the Black community and in family styles. So it's funny because I was talking to Shay about it, and I was like, well, I've been watching a lot of Sister Wives, not in preparation for this, but in general, because I'm a reality TV show nerd, for lack of a better word, stan. And there were 17 seasons of it, and I was like, I'm good for a 17 season deep dive into anybody's life. I'm not gonna hold you. It allows me to check out of mine. So she was like, but that's not what it's like, and that's not the same thing. And I'm like, I feel you, but that's what I've been watching, so I'm prepared. But yeah, jumping into this, I guess I'll start off with the question of, well, actually, no, for Rich's sake, because for Rich and every one of our viewers like Rich, let me define the difference between polygamy and polyamory.
Yeah, because boy, they coming.
Right.
They coming.
So polygamy is marriage, essentially marrying multiple people. And polyamory is having relationships with multiple people. So the difference is marriage, essentially.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong. But
yeah. Look,
slightly, but that's basically
the basic version.
I say they the same shit, but I mean, hey.
it's not.
Well, you can't have polygamy without poly, because you don't jump into marriage.
No, polygamy is specifically a man marrying multiple wives, having multiple wives, and when it's the woman having multiple husbands, sorry, that is called polyandry.
Polyandry. That's correct.
So semantics is basically the same thing.
Same thing.
But still,
Okay.
you can't.
Y'all hear that comments? It is basically the same thing.
Yeah, but you can't be either.
Polygamy is marriage specifically, and polyamory is not.
What were you about to say, Dr. Green?
I was saying you can't have either without just being poly, because you just don't jump into marriage.
Right.
So you still have to date, you still have to court. And technically, however you want to call it, you're still swinging in the beginning.
True.
Swinging,
If
isn't swinging completely separate? Isn't swinging sharing husbands and wives with each other?
Well, you're sharing,
but
you're sharing the relationship when you start dating.
You're oversimplifying.
I feel it. I was gonna say, infinity does not seem to agree.
That is the oversimplification of what it is. Like, while you're not entirely wrong, I wouldn't want the general public to have that idea.
I mean, so we have to go off of what it really is, and then because that makes it where people can actually define what they are, what they're doing, and get a basis for where they're trying to go. You know, if you're only going to keep it as swinging, then you need to let people know that you're swinging instead of people calling it poly and they're not doing poly. And that's where a lot of the confusion comes from, because people will classify themselves as poly and they're actually swingers.
Yeah, but you also have
to when you don't define it the correct way, it throws people
swingers
that
aren't
are starting off
relationships
wrong.
correctly. Swingers
right,
don't
like you also have to understand that swingers do not do relationships. They're not dating. They are having sex, and that's a completely different thing.
That's not true. That's not true either, because you can have a sex relationship. You can have a sexual relationship.
They can be friends with benefits, absolutely, and that's kind of the old school swinging. Is more of a friends with benefits thing, but y'all just married to other people.
Well,
but
that's true. That's true or not, but it depends on how you define your relationship. That's what the thing is. It's really how you define your relationship.
That is valued beyond a sexual relationship or a friend, beyond a friendship and sexual relationship. Then it is no longer swinging. That is polyamory. If you're calling it a romantic relationship, if y'all going on dates, if you're trying to build with the person and be with the person for real.
That's exactly what I said. Because but you start as swinging.
That's not swinging.
It is. Unless you start the first moment you start, you're saying, "Hey, I want to be in this poly relationship." What you're doing in the beginning, in the beginning is swinging.
Are you trying to assert that when you start any type of relationship with anybody that you start with sex? Because I don't feel like that's what that is.
No, what I'm saying is.
So in polyamory, you can date a person, right?
And you can turn into a relationship.
And you're dating. And
how many people do that though?
I'm sorry?
How many people do that?
How
many people go into a relationship right now and not even in the first 10 days have sex?
That's fine, but they are starting with the understanding that they are dating or trying to build a relationship, or even with the intent or
Look, I get you.
Or even with
I get you, and I get your opposition. I get your opposition for it.
The option of building a relationship that makes it swinging.
I get you, and I get your opposition for it.
Relationship with
I understand you want to battle me on it. I get it. I got it. But what you do versus what the masses do is two different things.
I'm saying what the line is, when you have that option to build the relationship, that is when you are in polyamory. When you don't have that option to be in that relationship, that is swinging.
No, because you can have the option and not want to be poly.
With somebody.
You can. So what's the difference between someone? What's the difference then, if that's your logic? What's the difference between someone who dates multiple people?
Mm-hmm.
They're not swingers. They don't consider themselves swingers. They don't consider themselves poly.
Mm-hmm.
What do you call them?
Dating. Single.
No, that's called. That's called. Dating. That's ethical non-monogamy.
No, they are.
Okay, so wait, hold on. I want to make sure that everyone understands your question. So when you're saying dating, are you implying sex as well, or are you saying dating as in just courting someone?
It could be both. I'm saying when you're dating somebody, that doesn't mean exclusive. You don't have to be exclusively dating someone. You can date multiple people at the same time to get
you can have sex with multiple people at the same time.
Who you want to be exclusive with, who you want to focus
on. That's right. But if you don't consider yourself in a relationship with that person, then what are you?
No, a monogamous person should absolutely date and fill out their options before they decide on who they want to settle down with.
That's not my question. My question is,
do that, but that's what they should be doing. And that's what a single person who is dating multiple people is actually doing. They're not being non-monogamous. They are checking out their options until they decide.
That sounds like a giant loophole, though. I'm not monogamous. I am doing this.
No, because she's saying they're not dating exclusively. So
right. That's right. So if you're
casually
not
dating,
you're dating people, you can date people and still actually be monogamous. When you want to commit to somebody, you're only going to commit to one person. That is what monogamy is. Non-monogamy, or not non-monogamy, but polyamory is committing to multiple people. If you're not going to make a commitment to more than one person, then you are not polyamorous.
Because you can have sex with multiple people and still be monogamous.
Then you're cheating.
No, you're not. Because if you're dating, let me finish. If you're dating multiple people, but you haven't committed on who you're going to be with, you're not poly. You're just dating. That's that's like telling teenagers that they're poly because they're dating. They're having sex with multiple people.
I just said what I said was.
She said the same thing.
Until you find what option you want to stick with, you are just dating. That doesn't make you poly. That makes you exploring your options.
I said that also.
And that doesn't make you non-monogamous. That makes you exploring your options. If you interview for several jobs at the same time, that don't mean that you're trying to work two jobs. That means you're trying to see which one is best for you.
No, that does make you
that's what it means.
ethically. No. Wait.
For a job and I take 7 interviews, that means I'm trying to figure out which one is going to be best for me. If I got headhunters on my ass, that means I'm going to go ahead and let them talk to me and see what they're trying to put out to see which job I actually want to take. That don't mean that I'm going to take 2 jobs or more. That means I'm going to see which one is the best fit for me. While I'm letting all of these other places try to court me at the same time.
You don't let people get in a jet, do you?
Nah. Why would I?
Why wouldn't you?
Okay.
All right.
Let's get to the question. We haven't even asked our question yet.
I didn't even ask the question.
All right.
Well, now that we have a rough idea of the definitions, my first question was when and how, or I guess, did you decide to live a polyamorous lifestyle, and why did you make that decision?
All right. Okay, so are we asking before we start answering, because I know the answer can get kind of wild. Are you asking the individual person why they chose what they chose?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I can't ask them to answer on behalf of
an I'm saying maybe you were asking maybe a societal
what
question.
Are some of the reasons? No, I'm asking about them personally.
Okay, then specifically. All right, so there we go. Go ahead. I'll start off so that way I can get out your way. I am in no way polygamy.
That's why I'm like, why are you answering the question?
I am definitely in a monogamous relationship because I like my life. But no, I do not. I don't ever disagree with people that choose to live like that. I do believe that monogamy is absolutely pushed upon society. I do believe that is. I don't believe that it's natural. I don't believe monogamy is natural. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it, but I don't believe that like if you just take two people where society doesn't influence them on their sex life, I do believe that people would choose to be more poly than they would to be monogamous. But that's just from how I see how people behave. But other than that, y'all go ahead. Y'all answer the question.
Dr. Green.
You gonna let me talk? I've been poly since middle school. Before I knew what poly was. My ex-wife was my middle school sweetheart. We went from middle school until 2010. She was gay. I was her cover because gay wasn't cool back then. So whoever she dated, I ended up dating. When we divorced in 2010, I met my current wife. I told her, hey, I am just used to being with multiple women from middle school, like 10, 12 to now. And at first she was a little resistant. We were semi-monogamous for the first year and a half. And then after that, we just kicked it. So I've had multiple girlfriends ever since.
Split question just on top of that. Is this something that she had to get comfortable with first, or was something that kind of came more natural?
Very. The difference was that she was cool with the honesty that came with it. You know, okay. She had just came out of a marriage. I had just came out of a marriage, and I think that the honesty is what sold her.
Because you allowed her to make her own choice versus lying about it.
Yep.
Got it. Okay. Miss Infinity?
So similarly, but not as far back, I was polyamorous before I had a term for it. When I said people I was a serial cheater, but I wasn't just sleep with people. I had whole relationships. If I was married, you would have called them affairs. I was with people. We went together. We was going out and all that stuff. And I was in love with these people, but I didn't feel able to be honest with the, main relationship that I had at the time. And then after we separated, I got with the person who was already poly, and I was like, okay, no, cool, this is what I want to do. And then we did that for 7 years. That also ended. But now I'm with a guy. I've been with him for 3 years now. And he is monogamous at AF. He is super duper monogamous. Okay, this is the most mono person I ever been with. He never cheated or nothing in the last 3 years. And I'm like, how? Sway? Because I definitely would have. But I'm with a super monogamous person, so he has had to get used to and try to get comfortable with the fact that I date other people. It's working out so far. So, right now I'm with, it's a whole complicated situation, but my children's other parents, and we are also in relationships. And my guy, the other guy I'm in a relationship with, is at home in Detroit. So. But the point where I didn't necessarily decide. It was just came to me naturally because a monogamous relationship was never something that I was good at or okay with or comfortable with. It just never fit with me.
And I understand where you're coming from because I felt the same way. I was the same way. I was also a serial cheater. I didn't believe monogamy was real. And then I met my husband, and he is also a super monogamous person. But I found peace in it personally. The idea of dating multiple people, I honestly, I don't want to say, oh, there goes Jamal. Talking about I fight though.
Jamal, go to sleep.
But yeah, for me, I never met anyone who kind of matched and met all of my needs. So whether it was intellectually or sexually or, like being an extrovert or whatever it is, like I never met anyone who can meet all of those needs until I met him. So I'm okay with being monogamous and I'm comfortable and I'm happy in my monogamous relationship. Then that's something I didn't feel ever prior to. So I understand the emotions behind it, the like feeling like, look, I can't just be tied down to one person. I'm interested in this and that, or this person fulfills me in a different way and this relationship fulfills me in a different way. So I absolutely understand those emotions behind it.
I would say like I don't ever try to tell a monogamous person to be polyamorous or that's what you should do. It's just not, if you're not poly, then you're not, right? Like if you are, you are, and that's awesome. If you're not, you're not, and that's great. And you should just do what works for you. I'm not gonna try to talk you into living my relationship style because if it's not for you, then it's not for you.
My thing is like I see a lot of couples and in therapy, and my point to them is, why do y'all stay in a monogamous relationship if y'all are serial cheaters? Like y'all cheat back and forth on each other. You do the same thing time and time again, and then y'all have these long gated fights that have no ending because you're going to keep doing the same thing. But you're so raised into the idea or notion of being monogamous because that was what you were taught, that's what you were bred, that's how your parents grew up, that's what your church had set. Like poly was never even an option until they got in therapy.
So that's what I was going to ask you guys' views on how society sees monogamy versus being poly, and how I feel like culturally poly is pushed, but like inside of like your small homes and your small environment, monogamy is pushed, right? So like your parents and your church, they say monogamy, but society outside of that says,
yes,
fuck bitches, get money.
I feel like poly is like religion. Whatever you grew up in is what you're around. When you get out and you get in college or you get past your house, your eyes open because you see so many people doing so many different things, and then you can accept whatever you want to accept.
And I agree. And I feel like I was blessed with the attitude of not giving a fuck about whatever anybody else said. Like I never did. So like when I had my first girlfriend, I was like, I didn't like come out to my parents or nothing. I had a girlfriend, and that's just what it was.
That's definitely a luxury. The ability to not give a fuck is absolutely a luxury. Because there are a lot of people that they'll drown in their own thoughts because they can't publicly say how they feel, or just due to how many women would actually reject a man if he says, no, I like you, but I also like her and I like her. Like the amount of rejection versus the women that'll be okay with it.
It's honestly less than you think, because more women, in my experience, and like from the men that I have dated, more women are actually open to that amount of honesty.
As long as you are honest,
as long as you're upfront about it, a lot of women be like, okay.
Oh, you're not gonna lie to me?
And they're like, they might
still gonna take care of home?
Man, they might not be able to do it. It might turn out to not be for them, but they will actually give it an honest effort when it's honest up front.
Now that's going to be my second part. The financial piece to it. How does that necessarily work? Is that more enrooted to where society says the man takes care of everything, or he's the head of the house? Like, how does that financially work?
That's really dependent on the type of relationships you have. If your relationships are built on 50-50, 60-40 or whatever, then that's what you're going to seek. And when you get with the next person, you're going to tell them, hey, this is how we operate. This is what we do. So, don't expect coming in here that I'm going to pay 100% of your stuff, because that's not how we operate. Now, if you're one of those dudes and your pockets are just deep and you can take care of 3 or 4 households, then shit, by all means, do what you do, but that is unrealistic.
Right. I would see that as being very stressful.
It's unrealistic. You can make $150,000, and someone who makes $30,000 have more shit than you, because everybody lives paycheck to paycheck. I don't give a shit how much you make. Everybody lives paycheck to paycheck. 2 or 3 paychecks from being on the street.
Right.
And that's because people always live outside their means. You'll meet very few people in life who are minimalistic and don't live outside their means.
Right.
Yeah. Specifically in the Black community, to be honest with you, you really see that spending outside of your means.
Oh, well, yeah. But I mean, right. You see that, honestly, you really see that everywhere. Everywhere. It's just the difference is in the Black culture, we're not taught financially what these things mean, and what happens and the ramifications of doing that, and what happens the moment you're fired and you miss that week. Versus some other cultures where they have, I don't want to say a safety net, but they have somewhere to fall back on.
Their broke is different from our broke.
Yeah.
Right. When we're broke, we're broke. There's no money. There's no extra. There's no nothing. Their broke is, I can't spend past this certain amount.
Mm-hmm.
Right. There's a difference.
Facts. So what are some of the common misconceptions about poly lifestyle that bother you? I feel like we touched on it in the beginning a little bit, but
we're going to touch on it a little bit more.
That it makes your life easier, because it definitely doesn't.
You said it doesn't?
That you're happy? No, and that you're happy all the time, because you're definitely not.
Like,
you're definitely more stressed.
You know how hard one relationship is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so multiply that. Like 2 or 3. Oh. That's what polyamory is. Like, it's not easy at all. You got to deal with different people's emotions, different people's reactions to certain shit. Like, somebody might be happy you did something, and then somebody else is mad about it. Right. You spend time with a person, they're awesome, but then somebody else feels left out. It's like some people's emotions and insecurities and jealousies and attitudes and whatever the fuck else. It's always there. It's always.
Let me tell you, this is what really, really gets you. If you go into if you have a relationship and then you get somebody new, it's way different versus everybody being on an equal playing field. Mm-hmm. Right? Because if your current or your main or the person that you came into this with don't like the new person, bro, it's a problem. Mm-hmm. It's definitely. So
the main person has to pretty much, I don't want to say choose, but pretty much approve the new person coming in.
No. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if you respect their opinion or choice, then it can make it hard.
Think about it before you do.
Now, you can do whatever you want, but I mean, you always have to do what you can do. What you can afford. That's what I'm gonna tell you.
Okay.
You know what I mean? If you married and you feel like that new person, you can afford the consequences. Even if you're not married, when people get together, they have stuff tied together. Rent, mortgage, cars, vacation plan, like savings, everything. Y'all have shit tied together. If you want to let someone come in and ruin all of that over lust or love or infatuation or big booty, it's up to you. You have to be the responsible person. And that's the same thing for the female. You can dig down to the most. Is it worth your marriage?
That is something that I definitely rarely see. Is the opposite side. Women that date multiple men and that are okay.
No, that's all women do. What are you talking about? They just
I'm saying it's rare for me to see. It's just it's
don't
rare.
know.
I've always seen
they out there. They the worst.
I've always seen the opposites. I've seen guys date a lot of women, but I've never seen.
No, there's a lot of affinities out there.
Infinities.
Was brought up. What's up?
Infinity and beyond. Let me tell you.
No beyond. It starts and ends here. But anyway.
My bad.
So a couple things about that. So Ava, I do agree to an extent, do what you can afford, because there are consequences to certain actions. But I do feel like it's more so how you move than it is what you do. Because you shouldn't be it's not a wise decision to share every detail of a relationship with somebody else that you're in a relationship with. Because it's just like, if you talk to your best friend about issues you're having with your person, your best friend gonna hate them. You're gonna take them back, you're gonna forgive them. Your best friend will forever hate them. And it's at least 10 times worse when it's somebody that you're in a relationship with. If you have an issue with somebody and you tell your other partner, they going off the handles. They pissed off. They want to fight them. Like, it's a whole big thing. So you got to pick and choose what type of details you're going to share and how much they going to know. Like, you don't got to know everything. You don't got to know
even the good details. She is 100% correct. Even the good details.
But the only thing, at this point, I have recognized. So with the guy that I've been with for 3 years, when I go out with somebody, we had a conversation a long time ago. I was like, listen, just assume that we're fucking so that we don't have to come back and have this conversation later. Like, you can get in your feelings and out of them before I get back home. Because I don't want to have to go through this every single time I go out. Like, I may or may not have sex with another person. It's not going to change based off of how you feel about it, though. So just assume that that's happening. And then you can get over it. And that's, what I'm saying? Because that's some stuff you're going to have to work through. If you being with me, you're going to have to work through the fact that I'm going to sleep with somebody else whenever I might. But what I am going to let you know is when I'm the times that I'm going to be going and when I'm going to be back. And who I'm going with. Other than that, it really nothing else is your business. If I decide to share it with you, that's cool. But it's honestly none of your business. So a lot of the stuff that people get mad about with the other relationship, no, I'm probably not going into a relationship that my partner already don't like. Like, if you don't like this nigga because of something that he did 5 years ago, I'm probably not gonna put myself in that drama because that don't really make sense for me. You already have the preconceived notion of this person. You already have your previous interactions with this person, and they have been negative. So it's already inviting drama for me to start going out with them. But if it's somebody that they don't know, the only reason they're not gonna like them is either if they're jealous, or if you tell them something that gives them a reason to not like them. And either one of those things, the jealousy is on them, and they gotta get through it. If you tell them something that make them not like the other person, that's on you. Because why would you tell them that?
I would imagine that jealousy is a trait that you can't afford in this line of relationship. I would imagine that jealousy is one of the traits that you probably shouldn't.
No, everybody gets jealous. Jealousy is as natural of emotion as happiness or sadness or anger.
I understand it's a natural emotion, but there are certain emotions that I do not have the luxury of having in certain fields, right?
I disagree.
In combat, when I'm in Afghanistan, I don't necessarily have the luxury of empathy, right? Because the moment of hesitation. I'm sorry?
I didn't hear what you said. The luxury of what? In Afghanistan?
Empathy.
Okay.
Because the moment I hesitate could be the moment that I die. Yep. So that's what I'm saying. I think in certain fields, in certain areas, you might not have the luxury of having that emotion.
So I told a couple just yesterday, do not ask your spouse if you love a person, if they love the person that they haven't fucked, if they fucking, because love, you can't control the recipient of love, right? You can't control who you love. You can only control the actions that you do with the person that you love, right? So as long as they're not doing anything disrespectful in regards to what they're doing with another person, that should not be the question that comes out of your mouth, because you can't control who you love. You can love people that you're not even with. You can't help it.
If you ask me.
So, say that again.
Also,
I said that's a jealous ass question, in my opinion.
Oh,
but also, here's the other thing. For what Infinity said, I agree with like 80% of it. Now I agree with 100% of it if you're not married. But if you're married, your spouse is privy to things that people that you go with aren't. If my wife say, "Give me your phone," then I'm gonna give her my phone, because everything we do is each other's business. There's no such thing as not your business.
I could even agree with that, but at the same time, don't get mad at what you see.
I don't know, and this
that's on you. If you want to get mad at, like, I'm probably not gonna do that. But even if I did, that's cool, because I've never lied to you about nothing. But just because I didn't tell you exactly what I was doing, don't make it a lie. That means that it wasn't your business. If you want to go ahead and try to make it your business and then get mad at it, that's on you. I got nothing to do with it.
I would slightly disagree. I don't believe that she's privy to everything. I do believe that there are parts of either me or whatever someone else entrusts information with me that she's not privy to, right? Example, say Britt wants to come to me, just because she needs somebody to vent to, right? I don't necessarily believe my wife is privy to that conversation.
That's true, but
just because she's my wife,
with relationships, because somebody, what if I don't want your wife to know the kind of stuff we do in bed? That's not her business. We having sex. That's all she needs to know.
It's definitely her business, because
I'm
her business.
If she knows that we are sleeping together.
Look, if she asks me, you just ask how. I'm trying to tell you how. Don't ask a question if you don't want me to answer it.
Go ahead and answer.
Thank you. If my wife asks me a question, I'm gonna answer it. Now, again, I agree with you. If it hurt her feelings, then it hurt her feelings. But if she asks me, I'm gonna tell her. Why wouldn't I? Not telling her is the same thing as lying.
I mean, I could agree.
I mean, I guess if she asks that question, not answering it would be kind of like
answering it.
My issue is like, I'm gonna answer you, but I want you to know, like, you don't want to know the answer to this question. You just try, what you're trying to do right now is start an argument for real.
But the moment you say you don't want to know the answer to the question, I now know the answer to the question. I now know the answer.
You lick her booty like you lick my booty.
Yeah, I put my whole tongue in.
Oh yeah, bitch, I mean that. What you mean? And then she gonna be mad. Like, you shouldn't have asked. And that's what I mean. Like,
but here's the other thing. I don't like the way you set your relationship up actually cuts a lot of that out. When you start dating someone, you're supposed to have moments where you have conversations about different things. And like, one of my things is, I'm not arguing with you, I'm not fighting with you, right? And if you set that precedent up from the moment that y'all start talking, right, and the first interaction you did that from the get-go, then you've already set up the stage for your relationship and how things are going to be. Like, you don't have to deal with that. People choose to deal with it, and then they allow it. It's the same thing like with your kids. If you let them cuss at you, of course they're gonna cuss at you. If you stop it, they're gonna stop. When you allow it the first time is when it starts and keeps going.
But you believe it'd be easier if you just handle it in the very beginning. If you just say, "Hey, look, these are the rules, these are the boundaries, this is what my expectations are." You said that stuff out in the very beginning.
Yeah, and if you want to modify it as you go, then yeah. But if you have to set stuff up from the beginning, that's what boundaries are called. You got to have boundaries.
Facts. That is true. Also, and like, I saw somebody comment that they feel like marriage is different in the sense. I feel like the only difference with marriage, in my opinion, because I haven't been married. I've felt married, I think. I don't know. I've never been married though, so I can't really speak on what marriage actually is. And my view of it though, like what I feel like it's gonna be, because I do plan on, getting there. The difference is gonna be like, yes, you have a certain amount of access to my life. That is gonna be more than anybody else has. But that still doesn't mean that you get to know everything that's going on in any other relationship that I'm having. Because other people want their privacy too. Like if I'm talking to you, I'm like, okay, I'm not comfortable with you sharing these details with another person, no matter who it is. Then that should be honor between us. If you can't honor that, then we can't be together.
Yeah. What if I'm not comfortable just because of how embarrassed I may be, or I'm just not ready to deal with it yet? I haven't learned how to.
If something that a person is not comfortable with you sharing with anybody else, you should be able to honor their discomfort in that. Like, okay, well, I won't share this piece of information about our relationship because is it not y'all's relationship? Is it not an individual relationship? And it's I feel like it's messed up to say we can't have a relationship that's just between me and you because I got a wife. If that's the case, then you shouldn't be having other relationships, or you should only have other relationships that also involve your wife. If you want her to be privy and involved in every detail and every aspect of that relationship, then she should also be in the relationship. If she is not in the relationship, then she don't have access to all the information and everything that goes on.
I agree with you. However, what I would say is, if you set those boundaries up from the beginning, your wife or your husband wouldn't be asking those questions in the beginning. You have to set your core boundaries from the beginning, and you have to have your foundation. So if your spouse knows that or spouse or significant other, whoever you want it, knows you're not going to do anything that's out of left field and you're not supposed to be doing, then it shouldn't be a problem. Like, so when I think about stuff like that, I don't just think about the sexual notion. Like when people start thinking about poly and polyamorous and everything, the first thing that comes to their mind is sex. The first thing that comes to my mind is finances. How much money is coming out of my pocket? How much money is coming out of our household? What is going on that I can have this relationship with this person and be able to hold it down like a regular relationship? Because all relationships take money.
Period. As a man, that makes 1,000% sense. And then I'll bring that back to the actual question, which was, what misconceptions about polyamory do we dislike the most, right? That's the question.
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, it is the sex aspect. And it's like, I could be having sex with people without being in a relationship with them. Like, sex is not a factor for me personally in a relationship. It doesn't matter. You could sleep with anybody. You can be fucking whoever. It doesn't matter. Polyamory is about the relationship aspect. It's about doing the work to maintain this romantic relationship with this person. It's about the commitment to trying to, better yourself and evolve your relationship in whatever way you deem necessary. It's about growing with the person, learning somebody, and kind of building a certain aspect of your life with them. And the thing that bothers me most that people think is like, oh my God. Actually, I take that back. The biggest thing for me is that it's always got to be like a triad. And I'll be like, bro, like, it's fucking chill. Oh my God, it's a guy and two girls and they're all having threesomes all the time. And I'm like, I haven't no desire for a threesome at this point in my life. Like, I don't, even if I'm with a dude and a woman, like, I don't need to have a threesome. Y'all want to fuck? You go over there and fuck. If I want to fuck, I'm going to fuck over here. And we good. Like, I don't need that group interaction. That's ridiculous. Especially all the time. Do you know how hot it gets under covers when there's 3 people under there? That's y'all are crazy. You got no idea how uncomfortable and how
when I see those pictures of multiple people in the bed, I be like, man, their electric bill high as hell because there ain't no way it's on room temp.
It's hot. That's in the middle. When they got to get up to pee, they got to pull the covers off of the other 2. And what happened when somebody pull the covers off you when you sleep? You wake up pissed off. So now you got 2 people pissed off because one person had to pee, and that's not even a reason to be mad. It's honestly a bunch of ridiculousness that people believe. Like, it's a fanciful idea that it's gonna be 3 people who love each other equally, who want to have sex at the same time, every time, all the time. and then nobody's like, and then the sex is gonna be equally distributed between the three people.
Let me tell you, if you got multiple kids, look at poly like your kids. It may be sad and it may be
it's true.
People don't like to admit this. You have your favorites, right? Not only do you have your favorites, you have ones that you trust more too, because they've earned it.
Yep. Because some of them niggas,
you know, so if you want to be in the poly, think about it as having multiple children. Because at the end of the day, if you really get married, they're your dependents anyway. So think about them as multiple children.
As your kids, because you know what, I 1000% agree with that. Because having 6 kids as you do.
So I have a question. So
I got 2 favorites, and then I love the other ones. Like I love all of them, obviously. 2 favorites, 2 other ones that are. The other ones I would trust more than the other ones. Like if I ask somebody a question, I know who's gonna lie and who's gonna tell the truth. You gotta know who you're fucking with.
So I have a question for you, Justin. As a legally married man, and then you stated you have a girlfriend. Mm-hmm. How do you go about courting and dating within your marriage?
You mean to the outside world or
to the outside?
With the outside world, it's fucking because that ain't none of their business.
Well, your marriage, you're right.
So check this out. In 2026. I will be running for mayor in Jonesboro. In 2030, I'll be running for Senate, and I'll be running as the first openly politician. If nobody beats me to the punch, but I don't give a fuck what nobody think. This ain't nobody paying my bills. Ain't nobody paying my bills. The only thing that I worry about right now is because I have 6 months left in the military. That's it. Other than the military, I don't even care. But my commander know I'm poly. My sergeant major know I'm poly. My command sergeant major know I'm poly. Like nobody, I don't give a fuck. Yeah, I'm in the Army too. Reserves, yeah.
Okay, I say who? I say who?
I can tell.
Super cool.
God, I can tell.
Super cool. But
I got all that specialists on saying.
Yeah, I hear you. Out of front back, go your ass to death.
Army people.
But as far as my marriage goes, at first it was a little hard. Now it's not so much. It's more of the respect value. You know, as long as my wife does not feel like she's being disrespected, you know, it's a go. But I've had the same girlfriend for 6 years.
Okay.
So it's nothing new. My girlfriend knows her place. My wife knows her place. I definitely know my place. I know what I can and can't do. You know, we go on trips. We don't go on trips. We go out of town. We definitely have sex a lot. You know.
Do you guys cohabitate? Are you all in the same house?
No.
Okay.
No. Now, my last girlfriend, we cohabitated for a while. Mm-hmm. And then I bought her a house down the street. And that ain't work out too well.
Mm-hmm.
You said what?
She said buy me a house.
Not that need a house.
But
you're right.
I mean, it really depends. Like I take care of my girlfriend's bills. You know, when dudes try to talk to her, she is very famous for saying, "For what? My nigga pays all my bills anyway now. Like what do you bring to the table besides penis? Because my bills are already paid."
Yeah, I don't think there's very much else I could bring.
Yeah,
your bills.
You know, so I don't. But I mean, that's finding stability in all relationships, though. You know, if you hold down your responsibilities or your household or whatever you want to call your responsibilities, you know, like Miss Infinity said in the beginning, people are down for it when you do what you're supposed to do. You know, now. Would I like to be with somebody else? Yes. Would I? No. I can't afford it. I know what kind of lifestyle I want to have. I know the kind of things that I want to do. I know how I treat people. You know, I treat them like they are. When me and my girlfriend are together, like when I go spend nights over there, or we go out of state or whatever, or even when we're in town together, nobody would think that I was married or with somebody else, because I treat her like she's the only person on earth. And the same thing with my wife. You know, she gets undivided attention. So that's how we act, that's how we move, that's what we do. You know, I can't take on another person because I can't afford that. You know, maybe if I ain't had 6 kids, you know, maybe. But shit, you know, I got 2 18, 16, 14, 13, and 2.
Who?
Is that
right? And 2. You were almost done.
Conversation.
I'm like, man, you
sensitive. Is that a conversation or a subject that's sensitive when it comes to discussing children and having kids with possibly women? Or in
because when I start, even when I talk to people, even like, so me and my girlfriend, my girlfriend is a swinger, so she definitely likes to get it in. So like when we meet people to do our thing, like go to swing clubs or whatever, like if it's going to be a standing thing where we deal with, you know, more than once or twice, they definitely know the deal from the get-go. So they're not disrupting my household when they come over here. You know, they know the rules from the get-go. My house is built in a way that I can have company and the rest of my house don't know. You know, I got a man cave, my wife's got a man cave, you know, so, or woman cave, she cave, whatever y'all call it. But, you know, what goes on in my man cave is fine. So when my girlfriend comes over, that's where we're at, or we're in my movie theater. But other than that, no, like, but my girlfriend comes over a lot too, because her son is 3, which I call him my son is 2, and they running around the house playing all the time. So, you know.
Well, as far as like kids are concerned, though, it's not even a conversation. You come over here, it's not happening. That's it. You want to have?
You just let them know. You just let them know not having no more.
Absolutely not. Go forth, be fruitful. I will support you in the ways that I can with you having your kids, which is really just emotional. I ain't taking care of nobody. I ain't taking care of nobody. Motherfucking kids, because I done it too many times to myself. I'm not gonna babysit. You have a kid though. If you call me like, oh, I got such and such from a kid, hey, you right. Go ahead, be a dad or a mom. I'm with you. I believe in you. Go do that. I'm gonna be here when you're done. I don't do babies no more.
Infinity.
Not ever at all.
After this last rock, I'm so with you. I don't care about nobody else's
triplets. I had babies. So I had 3 newborns, right? They were 6 weeks old when the next one up turned 1. And then my other one wasn't 2 yet. I'm done. Like, I'm super done. I don't need this shit. I don't want it. No, wait, she was 2. The next one, she was 2. The one was about to turn 1. And then triplets were 6 weeks old.
Yeah.
If you think I'm going to see another diaper in my lifetime that are not my grandchildren,
I have 3, and I could only imagine what would happen if I had all 3 at the same time. That's crazy.
And then you got
a different kind of strength.
3 newborns and a baby and a baby.
A different kind of strength. I don't know.
I had 5 kids under the age of 3
at the same time.
I'm not changing another diaper, dog. I'm straight. I'm good.
How do you got hair?
You gotta do your parental. I'm sorry.
Is that your hair? How do you have hair?
I don't know. I was blessed. I never had hair.
You should have less hair than me.
Like, did anybody see The Giver or read The Giver? Mm-hmm. And you know, they had the people they had designated jobs, so they had women. So they had women who were only supposed to have babies, right? That would have been my job. Like, I'm great at having babies. I don't like kids like that. But having babies and like giving them to somebody else, I can do that shit all day.
That's hilarious.
I'm good at it. I keep my hair. I have amazing milk production. Like, let's go. My body, like, they just look at me now like, these kids, you don't look like you had one. I'm like, genetics, I guess. I don't know.
So, what unique challenges do polyamorous people face that others may not?
Scheduling.
That's a good one.
Scheduling, especially the weekend. Like,
what was the question again?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
So the question was, what unique challenges do polyamorous people face that others may not? And Dr. Green said scheduling.
Thanks.
Like Monday through Friday, it's a given. I mean, if you work, you work. You know what I mean? Like the weekend is like who get who going with where, who doing what, who doing this, who doing that. Are you going out by yourself? Or are you going out together? Are y'all going to go do something? Is somebody leaving town? Like,
I'm gonna agree with scheduling, but disagree with how that works because I don't have a traditional job. I guess I'm a bartender, so weekends are my work. Like, I'm at work on the weekend. I get it. Your weekend, you're off, and you can do shit. That ain't how. Like, no. And if I'm not scheduled for the weekend, if somebody got a shift I can pick up, if I can go somewhere else, like I'm working on the weekend. But what it frees me up for is most days I'm super duper free. Any Monday or Tuesday or Sunday you want to hang, like I'm free all day, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Let's do something. Why not? You know what I'm saying? So like, scheduling is a thing. So what I typically do is just try to take my partner's schedules and match those up and be like, okay, well, if you free on this Thursday, I'll take that Thursday. I don't mind taking a day off too. The way that my job is set up, I can take days off whenever I want to. As long as I got at least a week's notice, I can take off literally any day. Most of the time, I can take off same day if I needed to without an issue, but I try to keep it at least a week. So
I know I can take off in the military. You definitely can't just take off at a day's notice.
Yeah, I was in the military, and that's why I'm not no more. But right now, I can take off whenever I feel like it. I can, if I, you know what, I'm about to take a month vacation.
One of the main reasons I got out, absolutely,
and be like, I'm gonna be gone for a month. I'm putting a schedule in the system, but I'm also gonna call my manager like, hey, I'm gonna be gone for a month, just so you know, don't schedule me.
Which is weird because when I was in the Marine Corps, actually, adultery was a huge thing that they absolutely punish people for, but now it's not.
Say that one more time.
I said, so when I was in the Marine Corps, the UCMJ punished people heavily for adultery and whatever they considered that to be, right? If you were married. Now, actually, if you're separated or if the wife agrees to it, then you're not as punished. As a matter of fact, the punishments are even lesser now, according to the UCMJ when it comes to adultery.
I just had a soldier get fucking crucified. Like,
luckily, I wasn't married, and the married man that I was sleeping with at the time didn't get caught. So
now, I don't believe that that's necessarily inherently right. Like, I don't think you should punish people over their relationships, especially if it's not affecting their job. Right.
Particularly because it's not affecting your job.
I agree.
I would say the same. So, like, when I came in the military, in 2003, right? And the crazy thing is, 2003 was the beginning of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Right? Remember that? And Don't Ask, Don't Tell was they started letting gay people in the military. Because before it was a no. You couldn't be gay in the military. And if you were, you better not tell nobody.
Yeah.
You better not tell nobody but God.
Right.
And so I think a lot of that changed because you weren't supposed to be able to dictate somebody's relationship.
Right. Mm-hmm. But the thing
is,
they repealed it in 2012 to take it back, but then you still didn't change the adultery rule. You kept that in place.
Yeah.
So you still were dictating people's relationships. It didn't change the fraternizations rule. It didn't change any of those things. You kept that in place, even though that was specifically supposed to be for officers and enlisted.
And literally nobody followed any of those rules anyway. Though, like I know when I was in, and I was
followed them
unless I was being myself with my superiors.
No, ma'am. It depends on your rank. Yeah. You do what you're specialist and below. You can fall under. I didn't know. And
I'm talking about the people that was above me, though. I never.
Yeah, and they were stupid. They were stupid as hell because I would never jeopardize my money for nobody.
I mean, I'm special.
I get you. But,
I'm playing.
PFC's thought.
Yeah, like I said I was playing. Don't go for me like that.
That's hilarious.
Okay.
But so to wrap this up, one of the things we kind of always go back and forth on the podcast is Nick Cannon, right? So in the instance of you have all the money and you're polyamorous, lots of children across the United States, I guess my question is, or Rich, if you can help me formulate a question, because there's all over the place in my head.
Do you think it's irresponsible to have that many children with that many women?
Nope.
Yes.
Like that?
Nope.
Yep. Ooh, two different answers. I love it. Let's go. Explain. We'll start with you, Dr. Green. Explain why you believe it's not irresponsible.
I don't think it's irresponsible because you're still being monetarily responsible for each child. It's only irresponsible when you bring a child into the world that you cannot take care of, that can't benefit from you, you can't imprint on them, you can't raise them, you can't show them what's right and wrong, and you can't do for them as a whole. If you can do that for them as a whole, then fine. It ain't no different from someone being what's the person called that just has children for other people? Surrogate. You're giving out to the world, but you're giving to people who can take care of the child. You're not just having them for no reason and being irresponsible.
Do you to ask a question before you go? Do you think it's possible? I'm one man. Do you think it's possible for me to imprint and raise 11 children that are in 11 different places?
Now that also depends on how much money you have. If you can afford to go from here to there and do it on a regular basis, that's something different. But if like me, Joe Blow, if I have I have a daughter that's in San Antonio, and I'll be the first to tell you that my relationship with my daughter suffers because of distance. Right? I can't afford to go here and there every month or every week or every 2 months. I do go. I try to go once every other month or whatever, but sometimes I fall short because of scheduling and stuff. But talking to her on the phone, trying to discipline her on the phone, you can't do that. You can't. So again, but if I had the money, I'd be a great fucking father. I'd be there back and forth all the time if I had the money to do it.
And the time, because I mean, if we're using Nick Cannon, he's a busy motherfucker. That nigga be on TV, on the radio.
Pre-record most of his stuff. You know what I mean?
But they took time out of his schedule at some point to pre-record it.
Nick, the benefit of the doubt, we don't know Nick's schedule. We don't know how he plans it. We don't know who he rolls with, and how he keeps his kids with him. We don't know that 100%. But
we know he doesn't keep his kids with him.
Money was brought up, your eyebrow was raised. What's your opinion on that?
My opinion?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, Nick Cannon cannot. I don't know how many different women these children are with. I think it's at least 10 kids to 10 women over the span of like 6 months or some shit, right? So you cannot spend one day a week with 10 different kids from 10 different women. Like you can't go 10 different places for a day in a week. You literally, it's impossible, right? Unless you got time travel. So no, you cannot effectively raise these children. No, you cannot effectively be a parent to these children. You cannot effectively do shit with them, regardless of how much money you have, because you can't fucking be there.
That's
kids
not true.
Money. Kids
That's
need
like saying a person in the military can't be an effective parent if they're not in the household every day. Like you don't have to be in the household. You don't have to be in the household.
Effective parent. You are not an effective parent while you're out of the household for 6 months at a time. Absolutely.
I didn't say 6 months at a time, but you don't have to be there every single day.
But when you come back, what happened? You don't know what the fuck is going on in the house. You don't know what the fuck is going on with the kids.
Again, you're talking about long periods of time. There's times where I come home during the week that I don't see my kids because I had a busy day. Doesn't mean I'm not that doesn't mean that I'm not an effective parent.
You see the kids that you live with like once a week?
No. What I'm saying is I might see them 2 or 3 days depending on my schedule because my kids go to bed.
Okay, well, that's great. What I said was, the point that I made was, you cannot spend 1 day a week with 11 kids each.
Yeah, I guess what she's saying is even if you gave your kid the whole day to themselves, you still wouldn't be able to see all your kids in a week because you have more kids than you have days in a week.
You only see every kid every 2 weeks. And I don't feel, and then you're living somewhere else, and then you're doing other shit, and you will only see them every 2 weeks if you only dedicated your time only
to say that their kids aren't coming to Nick. You're assuming that Nick is just traveling back and forth everywhere, and kids are not coming to him.
What I'm saying is, he also got a job. He also got shows. He also doing.
Nick can quit doing what he wants to right now. He's still getting alimony from Mariah Carey.
Stuff that he can't take.
It don't matter. That man got enough money to do what he got to do.
He is also doing the things.
And I don't even like Nick Cannon, so I'm not team Nick Cannon. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that he has the type of money that he can do it.
No, he can't.
He can't.
Even if he can, say he brought his kids on set, they gonna see him maybe 20 minutes while he on set. That's not having an effective relationship with your child.
It's not 24 hours.
To see some cool shit, and that's cool for them. And
that's not 24 hours though. Sex not.
That's true. So he gonna bring 11 kids on set.
24 hours, and we don't know how he manages that life though.
Raising the children, because it ain't him. It's the nannies.
Most men don't actively raise their children. No way.
Facts, but at least they're around for a couple hours.
Okay, hold on.
Right, that's an episode for a different day.
No, check this out. If you are a good provider, if you're a good provider and say you work 8 to 12 hours a day, you're providing for that home. You coming home every day, but you are not raising your kids.
Then and they are not an exception to the fact that I'm saying kids need more than money. If you cannot be there physically and presently with your children, you are not raising them. I don't give a fuck who it is. You can be a regular Joe Blow. If your ass ain't at home with your kids, you're not raising your kids.
But guess what? I bet that man that works all the time is still imprinting on his kids.
Imprinting on them that work is important.
No, not just work.
They don't know his personality.
Because most of the
distance. That's back in the day. When dad was at work all the time, the only thing that the kids got from dad was be a hard worker, take care of the house. That's great. Where's your emotions? Where's your affection?
I would say I don't want to speak of back then because obviously the social times of back then is completely different. A man had to work all day because we weren't being paid very much, and you still had to pay bills. And where nowadays you definitely have the ability to
afford to
work a normal job.
And that's what I'm saying. So right now, today,
I guess it depends on what you do with your free time. What are you doing with your free time?
They're not gonna let you talk, right?
Then you got too many fucking kids. If you cannot be there with your children, aside from distance and money, I understand that. I do understand being away because I'm away from my kids right now. I can't come see them all the time. They live in Arkansas. I live in Detroit. I'm planning on moving to where they're at, but right now I can't see them every day. So am I effectively raising my children right now? Absolutely not. No, I'm not. And I can admit that as a mother, I can say I'm not there on my kids every day. I'm not the one that's bringing them up right now. Like in this phase of their life, I'm not there every day. I'm not doing the shit that you would expect a mother to do. And that's cool because I understand our situation. But I'm not about to take any slack off of any nigga who feel like he can have 20 motherfucking kids and can't be there when you got 20 different women in 20 different motherfucking states. How, nigga? You cannot parent all these motherfucking kids. You can't. It's impossible. You're not.
I think overall that's been the division on the podcast. It's been the exact, like, the women have said this and the men have said that. So we appreciate your comments, your thoughts, your opinions, and everything you guys have shared with us this evening. Is there anything else anyone wanted to throw in before I wrap things up?
I love it.
Nope. That is good. I want to thank you guys for joining us, though, and giving us your insight on the matter.
Absolutely. We will be back on Sunday for Shit Talk Sunday, because I'm having a wine and wine on Saturday. I'm having the girls over for a wine and wine. So, I'm busy. So we'll see you guys on Sunday. And until next time, until next time, make sure you guys like, follow, and subscribe on Patreon, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. And until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay unapologetically Black. Have a good night.
Bye.